Hi, it's Jared from Strong Roots Farm. Today we're talking fencing. So I'm going to go over all the things that we did on our fence, some of the supplies that we used, some of the equipment we used, and spacing and all those things. Hopefully go through some of the tips that we did, that we come up with as we were going along, some of the things we learned. Hopefully it'll help you out. It's right after this. Stick around. Fencing. Okay, so posts. You got posts, you got wire, you got staples, and spacing. That's the main four things you need to talk about. So we went with 5-inch posts. 4-inch post is kind of the standard here in our area for a line post, and then a 5 or a 7-inch post on a corner post. We went with 5-inch posts on all of our line posts. Then I went with 7-inch posts at every gate and at every major turn or corner. There was a couple turns that we had that wasn't quite a 90-degree, but it justified putting the 7-inch in there. So that's what we did. Now spacing on them is very different. So we learned a lot of different things as we were going through and doing our fence. Spacing is the biggest one that people differ for. So I have a buddy, he goes 1 wood post every 36 feet with 2 metal T-posts in between, which is 12 foot on center there. So we decided to go up here next to the house, 20 foot between wood posts and 1 T-post between at 10 foot. Kind of makes it look a little nicer. It's a little neater fence. And then out where the cows are, we went with 30-foot spacing between our wood posts and T-post every 10 foot. So the fence is very tight. It's structurally sound. I'm happy I chose to go a little bigger, and that was posts and spacing. Staples. There's a lot of different kinds of staples out there. I recommend you don't go to a hardware store like Lowe's or Home Depot or your local Ace or whatever's around. I went to our local mom and pop hardware store. The guy tried to give me electrical staples, which aren't galvanized, so they will rust, and eventually they would pop. So go to a farm supply store of some sort, whatever's in your area or whatever you want to support, Rural King, TSC, whatever it is. We went with 1 3/4 on part of our farm and 2-inch on the rest. So it was just what they had in stock that day. I think we used about 10 pounds here in these 3,500 feet we put up. So there's something major I learned on staples though. So I'll show you that. It's the way I put them in. I was putting them in the wrong at the beginning. Unfortunately, my friend, he caught it the very first round I put in, and I'm going to show you that right now as we flip to the fence. All right, so here's the staple. You can see it's vertical. It went in directly up and down here, and that is incorrect. The fence, if it splits here, what will happen is that staple can work its way back out. So you want your staples to be as flat as you can be as you go in. That way, if one side splits, only half of it can come back out, and the other side will typically hold your fence. It'll make it last longer. Now, obviously, this hasn't been tested. So we did it here next to the house. I'm glad cows won't be pushing on here, but out next where the cows are, I did put my staples flat, and in 10 years from now, I'll find out if Dale is correct, that the staples have to be flat and that these posts will split. At least I didn't put them all in one single straight line. They are offset a little bit with different grains, but from now on, I will put my staples as flat as can be, horizontally, and in different grain lines. All right, we're going to talk tying fence. So you run into a straight line that's longer than 330 feet, which is a roll of fence, and you have to tie them together somehow. So I was told that I could take and overlap my fence 1 spacing and wrap them together each spot, and then continue to pull on, and I could pull 1,500 feet if I wanted to. I tried it and it didn't work. It all came apart. My fence is pretty tight. I like my fence string tight, and so it didn't work well for me. I could have been doing it wrong. If you can find somebody that can do it, I recommend you do. It would make it a heck of a lot easier if you could pull 1,500 feet instead of 300 feet at a time. But here's what I did. So I came in, Came in my 330 feet to this post. I wrapped around the post, tied it to this post. Then my new line of fence, continuing on, I wrapped around the same post, tied it together, and we went on. I'll flip to the post here so you can see a little better. Okay, you can see the fence comes down. We stretched it with a tractor. If you want to use a come along like Red Brand recommends, that's fine. But we wanted it tight, and we had the tractor. So we came down, we wrapped around our pole, and then we tied. So Red Brand recommends 5 knots. We just went as far as we could until we got tired. So we stretch it tight, staple it all the way through, staple all the posts all the way through the line. I cut the top and the bottom line, tie them. Then I cut 2 in the middle, I cut them, and then I release the pressure off the tractor. You'll find when that happens, the post will lean back a hair, but it's okay. When you start the new fence, you tie it in, and when you pull on with it, the post will straighten back up. I found this is very effective. It looks kind of like a prison here, but it works very well. It made the fence very tight, and I know that it's connected here very well. I don't have to worry about it ever coming apart. Okay, here's the start of our fence at one turn. I want to show you how we make these cross members and support posts. And this is where I've drove by a fence and seen it built completely incorrect. So I want to show you this, and hopefully it helps you. All right, so from the center, the 7-inch post here in front of us, the fence goes to the left. When you're making this cross member, your cross wire should connect at the bottom towards the top if the fence is going to the left. What will happen is this post will pull left. This connection wire keeps that. Now, how you wrap it and what you use, I see a lot of different things. I use thicker rebar because I've seen wood and I know it deteriorates, and so I chose not to do that. And I also put my tie-in bar on the back side. So I didn't want the cows rubbing against it, the back side of the fence they're never gonna see, and it's actually my neighbor's lane. So I put it back there instead of in between the fence and that tie post. I did staple it. It is secured, it's not gonna roll out of there anywhere. This is how we do our tie-ins. Okay, so I have a 7-inch on the corner, I have a 5-inch right next to it with a 4-inch cross member. All right, the last thing is tools. So definitely some leather gloves. My hands hurt after tying so much, and people make fun of how much I tied, but it's secure now. So leather gloves, obviously good. There are fancy fence pliers. They don't work for me. I had a friend bring a pair over. I didn't like those. I used a standard heavy-duty electrical wire pliers, and all my cutting and wrapping seemed to be just fine with those. It's all preference there, though. The one tool that I did not have that I wish I probably would have spent the money on was the fence stretcher, the connection bar. So there's a set of angle iron that they've made. It has wing nuts and it tightens down. It locks the fence in. It's about $70 at TSC. You might find it for cheaper somewhere else. It's probably worth the money if you're going to do any kind of length of fence. I used 2x4s. So I took 2 4-foot 2x4s, laid them on top of each other, drilled 4 holes in them, got some bolts and washers and nuts, and sandwiched the boards, sandwiched the fence between the boards, and then I wrapped the wire around back to itself. Then hooked my chains to those boards. It worked very well. It does take some time though. It was cheap. That's what I was going for, but every time that I had to connect and disconnect that thing, I'm like, man, I just wish I would have spent the $70, especially putting in 3,500 feet of fence here. So it's probably a worthwhile tool. I hope this helps you. If you have any questions, please let us know. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, Strong Roots Farm, and we hope that we can help you out with some things, and we hope this information is good. Thanks.